Welcome to Help, I Have Kids. I'm your host, Pam Marshall, a mom of 5 and a pediatric occupational therapist with over 35 years experience. This podcast is designed to equip you with practical tools, insights from experts, and real-life stories. Because at the end of the day, you are the head of your child's care team. Each week, you'll hear from pediatric experts and fellow moms like you that will help build your confidence. They'll offer clarity and empower you to make informed decisions that work for your whole family. Welcome back to Help, I Have Kids. This is maybe one of the most stressful parts of parenting. It's eating, feeding. Like, how do you feed your kids? And how do you help kids that don't want to eat? We are talking today with an expert. Nicole Haney's with me. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and Nicole, you're a occupational therapist. Mm-hmm. So how did you get involved in feeding, and what made you want to be a feeding specialist?
Sure. That wasn't on my radar when I first started working as an OT. Mm-hmm. I've worked in peds now for 12 years, I think, and probably about 2 years in, I noticed, a lot of my kids were struggling that I was client-wise was having, and I just didn't, I'm one of those people, like, I really want to help, and I didn't have the answers, and I wasn't a mom at that time either, so I think once I became a mom, that made my internal drive even more for it.
Yeah.
So I started shadowing some speech therapists and OTs where I was working at the time, and just kind of learning from them. And then from there, it kind of took off. So
yeah, got your interest going. Yeah, it's always been an interest of mine too. I started out in the neonatal intensive care and just loved just the process of how premature and sick babies learn to eat, and was fascinated by it. But, you know, for we moms that are stuck in the challenges of eating, it's really our drive as a mom to nurture and make sure our kids are fed, and it's our, you know, I don't know, it's just what makes us tick as a mom is getting them fed, getting all their things taken care of, like they have the right size shoes and the right clothing and the right things for school or whatever it is. That's our nurture part of us. Yeah. And so when it doesn't work, wow, is it hard on us? It's
stressful.
So stressful.
Yes.
Like when it doesn't work. And so we're both professionals that have supported moms like you that are struggling with maybe a picky eater or a problem feeder who's just unable to eat, or kids that are tube fed that don't know how to eat yet. And then babies who are nursing, and that's challenging because it's mom and baby. So it can be just so stressful. So what has that been like for you as a mom? Like personally, did you have any feeding challenges with your kids or?
All 3 of mine early on had challenges as infants. So that was kind of stressful. So my first son, or my oldest, I think starting solids, even though I was doing feeding therapy, was still nerve-wracking. I don't know why. It's just different because it's your own kid. Yeah. So I kind of went with the traditional route with purees at first and trying that. And eventually I got comfortable. But I think up to this point now, in the toddler stage, all of my kids have been picky. My 4-year-old right now only wants Uncrustables and fruit roll-ups. So I'm living it too.
Yeah. That's great fun.
Yes. So you kind of have to... Some days are better than others. You have to do what you can, I think. And
I found too, because we raised 5 kids and found that just being consistent is really helpful and not getting into the argument, the headbutt.
Yes.
You know, no arguments, just it will always go on your plate. You decide what you want to eat and end of story. It's no fight. It's no, but that piece of broccoli is going on there and that piece of meat and this, whatever the family's having, it's going on your plate. And there's no like getting a special food out. Like we made that a rule. And we knew that our kids would be okay if they waited till the next meal. If they didn't want to eat that, that's okay.
Yeah. I think it's hard as parents the pressure of like, oh, just take a bite, but that can make it worse sometimes.
Yeah. It really can.
So I always have my parents model, like, well, mommy's going to take a learning bite or a learning taste. If I don't like it, I can just put it back on my plate. Or if I have like, sometimes I'll have families have a little bowl or a cup, a no thank you bowl. So if I try it and I don't like it, I can put it in there.
Yeah.
So just
that's good.
Trying to encourage them, but not too much pressure.
And sauces really help, or dressings. Like I remember one of ours was going through a really toddler picky phase. And the only vegetable I could really get that kid to eat was spinach, like fresh spinach with this certain salad dressing. So we named it after him and just called it Will's favorite dressing. And we would take that dressing wherever we went. Like I would keep it in my bag. Yeah. And if we were out and we had the opportunity to get fresh spinach, just order that. Yeah. There's his dressing. He would eat it. Perfect. And I was like, I don't care. I'll go for that. Yeah. If he's eating spinach, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. You just find things that work. So sometimes the dressings or the extra things may work. The dipping. They like to dip.
Even just a fun little utensil sometimes is all they need to make it a change. Yeah.
Or have you ever done the where you cut everything up and you use toothpicks? It's a toothpick dinner.
Or a muffin tin, kind of like a child charcuterie board. Sometimes I'll do that with my kids.
Yeah, that's
they love
really
that
fun.
too. Just sometimes the visual presentation, that's all they need too.
Yeah, something fun and different. Yeah. I know when I was growing up, we had a book that would have like food cut up in fun little ways. And I'm sure now it's probably all on Instagram or somewhere for moms to access. So have you ever cut food, moms, like in shapes or I don't know. There's some beautiful things people can make, but I didn't get that fancy. But I still would do the fun little things.
I think my kids even watch people making lunches now. That's a thing on YouTube with
making
like you said, very creative. So there's all kinds of things out there you can
Did
try.
You ever see the lunch trays? Like the old lunch trays where it has
plastic ones?
Yeah. Well, I think it's melamine or something like that. Like it's hard, durable. And it has like the place for the silverware. And then it has a little cup and little square and little, I don't know. We have ones that have like, I feel like it's 6 compartments and they're pretty good size. And I always use those for lunches, like at home, like weekends or whenever. And we would just make it really fun. Yeah. And we had little bowls that would fit in there and they just loved that. And they would carry their little trays. So you different. Find things like that make it fun and different. But let's talk more about the stress of it. Because sometimes parents really don't know how to help their children. So I think the behavior starts around food. Right. Because it's a controlled thing. And that starts and strong preferences. And all of a sudden a parent is way down a road of lots of control and lots of tears and very difficult. What do you suggest if parents listening, they're in that spot where they've just had it. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to help their kid, but they know their kid needs to eat more than 2 things. You know?
I think it's important to mention that can happen. A lot of times it's that 18 months to 3-year-old, but at any point in development, if there's a big shift cognitively or that next step of thinking or new skills, sometimes feeding can regress. So it can happen at any point. But if somebody's really struggling as far as like a very limited amount of food or it's a fight, then I would seek therapy if you can. But I would encourage it can take up to 10 times of being exposed to a food for them to try it. So I would say don't give up, keep alternating foods, reintroducing them, let the child help even prep the meal with you, even if not saying
be in the kitchen, like cooking, but not
really
stove,
cooking, right?
Yeah, they're just
help pour, stir. If you don't mind doing family style, where they can help scoop and put it on your plate for you, that's a great way to get them involved too. Yeah,
that's really good. They can play helper or play kitchen, real kitchen. Yeah.
They make knives that are plastic now that kids can use too if they're supervised. But So that's another way. My kids love to try to cut vegetables and help that way too.
Yeah, it's really fun getting them involved. And there's nice like step stools and
at the counter.
Give them an apron and all the things. They love that. We used to have aprons that they could put their little tools in.
Yeah.
They had little miniature, spatulas,
Whisks,
and
all those
whisks.
things. Yeah,
I
that's so
love
cute.
that. Yeah, it's fun to get that kind of stuff and get them involved. Another part of like the control with food is some kids are so particular. Like they know a brand of, and if you change the brand, they're going to freak out on it. So what can you tell a mom? Because you said seek help, but what are some things that help moms not get into that level of control?
Sure.
So, because that doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
It happens because it starts out kind of innocently.
Yeah.
I want this kind. And the mom gives in. Okay, we'll always get that kind. And then one time they don't. And now you've got a problem.
Yeah.
So what are some examples like that of how to avoid the stuck points?
And I think some of that is, as moms, we see that our kid's eating that. So then we're like, okay, well, I know he's going to eat this. Let me get it again. So then, especially I always think of like goldfish. Every time a child eats that, if, like we mentioned, control.
Yeah.
Kids don't have a lot of control with things in their lives. They can't obviously drive or choose what they're doing. So they get to choose what they'll eat. And the goldfish is going to look the same, taste the same, be the same shape every time they choose it, right? If mom gives me lasagna, well, that's kind of sticky or gooey. It's got different textures. So goldfish becomes a safe food. I think I'll have my family start by just either changing the size, color, or the shape of something. So if it's a brand and we know we like goldfish, we know the logo is safe. Can we do the rainbow goldfish? Because there's orange is still in there. And kind of play with those and try that. Or can we go to Cheez-Its because it's still orange, but it's a square shape.
Yeah.
So kind of starting with some of those basic things and getting them to accept it, because you have to accept it visually first.
Yeah.
Some kids don't even do that.
Right.
So letting it be in front of them at the table on their plate.
Some kids make a judgment just by what it looks like.
Yes. And it makes sense. I mean, my mom always said, your eyes are bigger than your stomach, you're wanting too much. So it's that visual presentation is huge starting out too.
And I think even before that, like if as moms, if you can, I remember thinking a lot about this. I happen to have tools because I was an OT and a mom, but I remember thinking, oh, I'm going to steer away from processed foods and just try to do like chicken and potato and noodle or, just try to do whole foods and not. And that really does work. So like if you're on the front end and you have a baby that's getting ready to transition to table foods, like just thinking about that, just serving them whole foods is better than going the quick and easy processed food route, even though they might get that sometime. But if that's not a part of their everyday life, then you don't really have those battles.
Right. I think exposing early on a variety is great. They learn texture that way, flavors. If they have enough, they do accept alternating that food every other day so we don't get burnt out on those particular foods. So I think that's a good point too. I
love the choppers. Like that was something else that was really great about the transition from bottle to table foods is, I would cook our foods separate. So like a vegetable, for example, if I was making broccoli, we like ours kind of crunchy. So we'd pull ours out, but leave a couple pieces in for the baby, let that cook and get a little softer and then just chop. And, it's kind of easy if you do that, then you're not like having to make a whole bunch of extra different things. You're just doing it with what you have.
Right.
Or the chicken, getting that like chopped up really
shredded,
very fine. And it's amazing what they like when you can do that. So what does good feeding therapy look like? Because, feeding therapy, there's lots of different approaches. There's different skill levels. There's different, some people are better trained than other people. I'm one that as a mom, I had a real practical viewpoint, and maybe that bled over into my therapy too, is, I don't know, I just didn't do a lot of playing with food, or I never used candy in therapy because I didn't agree with that. I thought kids need to eat whole food. They need to learn how to eat it. Yeah. Their play experience can come from, like we talked about, being in the kitchen and assisting and being a part of that. But when you sit down at a table, that's food to eat. So I have more of a practical brain. So if someone came to me for feeding therapy, that's what they would get, which might be different from somebody else's approach who might have a play hierarchy or some kind of other approach. So talk to me about that. Like, what does it look like? How do you know this feeding therapist is right for you and your family?
Right. I think, like you said, it depends on the person's training because there are different approaches. There are some that is more a behavioral approach where they, I've been to a few courses where they give the food, and they may have a toy, and if they eat the food, then they get rewarded with a toy, and then the toy goes away, and then they take another bite. Some are sensory-based approaches, like I had kind of mentioned, playing with the food. We tolerate touching it. Maybe we get it to our lips, but we don't take a bite just yet. And then there's some that's more traditional, or we look at oral motor. How are they chewing? Walking parents through that oral development, what foods are appropriate, and helping them that way. I think it can vary. A good therapist will do a thorough evaluation as far as getting a really good medical history, feeding history. Even if I have kids that come to me that are 8 or 9 for feeding, I go way back and we talk about, okay, what did feeding look like at birth? Were you breastfeeding, bottle feeding? Did we, any symptoms such as reflux or ear infections, things that might affect down the road or how we got to where we are. And then a good therapist is going to look at a functional feeding assessment, watching how they eat, what skills they have, what foods do they avoid, what do they like, seeing if there's a pattern too.
And typically, a feeding therapist would get in the child's mouth. I mean, even if they're 8 or 9, they would say, I'm just going to look like a dentist does. We think about that, or an oral hygienist that is in your mouth is a good feeding therapy should always be in your child's mouth. So that's something to look for. If you have a therapist that, did a feeding evaluation but didn't touch your child or didn't touch their mouth, that's probably a red flag, because I know I couldn't adequately evaluate if I wasn't really seeing what was going on.
The structures and feeling.
Yeah. So that's good. Good to know. And there is a fit for your style of parenting, because I used a combination of understanding sensory, but also positive reward behavior.
Yes.
It's not behavior like a negative, punitive, but it's more positive. It's very positive. And knowing how to approach, I think there's a lot to when a baby is young and trying to accept a spoon in their mouth, there's a lot to the approach, of not coming at the baby like this with a spoon.
It's not scooping.
Yeah.
Under the lip,
and you're just visually not coming at them. You're in the way you approach it and where you place it. And all those things are so important.
Yes.
And that you're learning as a parent. That's a key, right? In therapy, that the mom is learning from the therapist.
Yes.
So there should be turn taking back and forth. So the therapist should be able to demonstrate what to do, and the mom should be able to step in and do the same thing.
Yeah. Carry over.
Yeah, which is good. Are there any, can you think of maybe some children you've treated or some situations that were really challenging, and what it looked like, and where you got to, what the outcome was?
I had one that I can think of, baby. He was probably 10 months old. He could only do thin purees. Anytime we got to a thicker stage, he would vomit and gag. So really sensitive gag reflex.
Yeah.
And mom had tried to do stage 3 where it's a little bit chunkier. And I always kind of educate my parents like that stage is really challenging, that stage of food, because there are chunks and textures, and they're used to a puree going straight back. And now they have chunks sitting on their mouth after their puree is taken in. And what do I do with that? So we worked a lot on desensitization in the mouth. So using a Z-Vibe, which is like a vibration tool in the mouth. There's an attachment on there that is a spoon. So we use that to help present purees. So kind of awakening the mouth a little bit more and desensitizing it to help then get to soft solids. And eventually kind of helped coach him how to self-feed. I also think it's important to know that feeding is not a race. It can be a slow process. So it took several weeks to get to a point where we could then add the next layer of food and work on his oral motor skills.
And then you're probably having to teach the parent what oral hygiene looks like, because a lot of parents don't start oral hygiene early enough. And I think it really has to be started. I mean, babies get their teeth at different stages. Mine were completely done by 12 months. They had all of them, but others are later. They're just getting their first teeth closer to a year. So it doesn't really matter when those teeth are coming in.
Right.
You really want to do gum and oral health. And as soon as they sit up, that's what I tell parents. As soon as they're sitting up and you can sit them in front of a bathroom mirror, if you're able to, if you have space, you can clear off and get them engaged in that. That's great to do. So moms, if you're listening and want to prevent problems, having oral hygiene. So when your other kids are brushing their teeth, your baby should be doing oral hygiene.
And even with water. The toothbrush.
You don't have to use any toothpaste, just water. And there's different baby stages of oral type toothbrushes. Some of them aren't really a brush. They're just like a plastic
finger, like a tube or something.
There's the finger tube. That's kind of nice too, where you put it on your finger. So there are things you can do to help desensitize the mouth and not have it be so. I'm guessing, did that child with that really strong gag, did they have short nipples like when they were babies and feeding?
Yes. He did not breastfeed well either. So yes.
Because breastfeeding, the nipple gets so long and elongates, and kids that have really hyper gags usually refuse breastfeeding, and they usually want a really short nipple like the Nook or something short that doesn't go far back in their mouth.
And simulate the
palate, you'll see that pattern with kids that have that hyper gag. And sometimes it's familial, like it'll run through all the kids have a hyper gag or something. What's your favorite thing about helping a really picky eater?
I think seeing the small wins when they happen. I have a little guy right now who's almost 2, and he has only been doing Pediatric. Doesn't eat anything. He occasionally was doing like sips or tastes of purees, but kind of regressed. And I probably had him for about 2 months now. We've been doing a lot of messy play, letting him get really comfortable with the purees. And last week, and just playing with spoons so we get comfortable with utensils. And last week, he actually let me near his face because he was very aversive to anyone touching his face too. And last week, he self-fed, just dipping, but he ate half a cup of applesauce. So that was amazing. And mom was so happy. She was crying. So it's just nice to see those little wins happen. Too.
Especially when, again, it's so stressful. The mom's holding all that stress. My kid's not eating. Like, it's so stressful because it's our nature to get them to eat.
And that's, survival. We need nutrients, right?
Absolutely.
So that's a big thing.
There's a hot topic like baby-led weaning versus, let's talk about breastfeeding a little bit, or weaning as a child, because there's all different thoughts behind what age. Some kids want to nurse longer, some kids not. And it's such a parent preference too.
It is.
Because sometimes it's what the mom needs more than what the baby needs. So how do you approach that? How do we know what's best?
It's important to provide some sort of exploration or introduction to foods, but that doesn't mean you have to stop breastfeeding. I forget if it's the American Breastfeeding Academy. They recommend up to age 2, but not everyone does that. So truly it's what the mom and child want. But I think if you're still introducing solids, maybe they use nursing as just a comfort, not getting main nutrients from that entirely.
Or you're just nursing once or twice a day or something like that. Yeah, that's good. And it also depends on milk supply because some moms
that's true.
drop off pretty quickly, like when the regular feeding intervals aren't happening. You know, they might, their supply might drop off. And then sometimes it's comfort. I always did not like the bite. That was my
teeth.
Oh,
it's challenging.
It's really hard.
Yes.
And then what do you do about that? What do you do? How do you handle the biting?
I always just kind of broke the seal or broke the latch. Said, you know, teeth, they're not for biting. And then I would kind of wait a minute till we regrouped and try again.
Yeah.
So, but yes, it hurts, painful.
They have to learn that it's not a game.
Yes.
That biting is no fun. How do moms know? Like, I know there's a lot of information out there on what to do first, second, third. You know, there's almost too much information. Like, how do I get my child to transition to table foods? And is it just a big marketing game with baby food? Because I think it is. I think it's a big marketing game.
Some of it, yeah.
A lot of it, like, there's no reason for a pouch. Just saying. Not a reason at all, moms. Hate to burst your bubble.
It's convenience.
It's convenience, and it's a big marketing game. They've sold it to you.
Yes.
They've sold it to you because there's no reason.
Yeah. With baby-led weaning, there's a lot of parents are nervous about it. I think a lot of parents are scared of their child choking, but I think it's important to know that there's a difference between gagging and choking.
Right.
What parents often consider choking is really typically a gag when they make that cough or kind of you see their tongue move forward and they end up spitting.
Or their tears.
Yes,
their tears
but
in their face.
It's a protective response. So it's that's supposed to happen. And that's okay. That's how they learn.
Yeah. I have observed a lot of fear over the years in parents, and we really have to be courageous when we're going through that because there is nothing to be afraid of. I've seen moms microscopically chop their food to the point that you really can't even pick it up.
Yes.
Like when you think about a toddler developing a pincer grasp, they really do need to have foods that they can pick up, like big enough to pinch, not so small that they can't, that they're
raking or folding.
Yeah, so they're okay, I think. And if you're really worried, now there's those cool
life facts.
Facts.
I always encourage families, like, if you're really worried, you can get trained in CPR for infants. Those life facts, if that gives you peace of mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. To let your kid be a kid and eat. Eat toddler food. Yeah. What causes picky eating? I know I had lots of moms ask that. Like, did I do this? What causes this? So what do you say to them?
I think it can be a variety, honestly. It depends on the child and what their situation is. Like I said earlier, there's a shift, depending on the age, there's a shift in cognitive thinking from 18 months to 3 years old. They go from, we call like a sensory motor thinking to more of a pre-operational. So again, that control piece, they form their own opinions. I may need mom, but not all the time. No, I don't want this type of thing. Sometimes it's medical related. If a child has really bad reflux, if tonsils and adenoids are a problem. I talk about poop a lot with my families. If they are constipated, if they don't have a good GI system working, we're not going to want to eat as much. Other times it is sensory based. Do we have an oversensitive gag? Do we have a texture aversion? Maybe we have poor oral awareness of our mouth. Not good immature oral motor skills. We're moving the tongue and jaw together. So I think it can vary. But typically, I think I see a lot of kids that come in at the toddler stage, and parents are just trying to do what they can, what they know at that time.
Yeah, they're trying to survive.
Yes.
But there are those things that can help you when you notice your child starting to get picky. I mean, there definitely are strategies. So what are some of those strategies? Like, what are ways that moms could say, okay, I really don't want to have a picky toddler, or if I do, if my kid starts getting picky eating, what do I do and how do I prevent that?
Sure. I always have families serve one preferred food, and that doesn't have to be a separate meal. I always say present what you are having, but it can be a tablespoon or 2. It doesn't have to be a large amount. So they are still getting exposed to it. If they try it, great. If not, that's okay. We just present it again the next time around. So again, giving that variety and letting them be exposed to that. I think also if your child is younger, doing a lot of teethers, some babies don't have a mouthing stage.
Right. And they never put anything in their mouth. Yeah.
Yes. So trying to work on that early on as well.
To letting them explore with their mouth.
Those chewing. So let them get messy. Let them play. I think that's huge. That helps them learn texture, exploration.
And I always tell moms, it's not like we have an abundance of time, especially if you're a working mom, but let them do it at night because you can give them a quick bath every night. Like just clean them up, just let them get messy, strip them down if you want, if you don't want their clothes getting messy, and let them eat their dinner and get messy, and then quick bath. And in summertime, you can just hose them off.
It's nice when it's nice out. You can do that.
You can do that. You don't have to go through the whole thing. But I think there are a lot of strategies to help you prevent that picky eating in your child. And I think it's good to, just help not get in the control. I think we as a culture, sometimes I see a lot of parents being, they're on a leash, so to speak. The child's in charge and they're on a leash. And you really have to accept your role as parenting and don't get yourself put on a leash because we think we have to please our kids and we really don't. We need to step up and parent. And the thing that helped me so much was this concept of the V of love, like this is a V, if you see that when kids are little, we really don't give them a lot of choices. Like it's, we're giving them milk and the choices of food or whatever. But as, like you said, when they get that 2-3-year-old age and they want a little more control, you give them a little more, but it's maybe a choice between 2 things that you really want. They're really your choices, but you present them like they're theirs. And so knowing how to navigate that as a mom and how to show them control, but it's really healthy choices or your choices. That a sugary drink is not a choice or, it's only water or milk.
Right.
And then that helps them feel like they have a little more control. But we have to follow the V of love, not this way. This way it backfires. when parents are asking, what do you want to eat? And they're saying, only McDonald's nuggets or whatever they're saying. Like, are you going to get in the car and really go get those? Are you really going to allow that? Or,
That brings up, there's something called the division of responsibilities. So the parent is responsible for when the food is served, what is served, and what type of environment. Yes. And the child is responsible for how much they eat, if they eat, and what behavior they're going to have at the meal.
Yeah.
So I always tell parents that too. I think it also is important to try to keep to a schedule. I end up seeing a lot of kids that become grazers. They just snack throughout the day and they don't really learn those hunger cues.
Right.
So I like to think of like a water cup. They're gradually just taking sips throughout the day and filling it back up. They don't completely empty it to know, oh, I'm truly hungry.
Yeah.
So I think
you bring up a great point because I used to go in a lot of homes years ago and I was shocked at how many people did not have meal times. So moms, meal times are so much more than just eating.
Yes.
Meal times are social emotional connection. It's where important developmental things happen and it's learning to communicates back and forth. And so when you allow your child and you only serve food on the coffee table and they're grazing and walking by or walking around with a little cup of something, that isn't a meal. It isn't promoting the hunger cues and the meal time and all of that. And I think another thing is we're really confused as moms of portions. We don't know portions. Yes. We don't understand that, it's really only a tablespoon of what? Like we think it's a half a cup or a cup of something when it's really they only need a tablespoon, a small amount. So, and the cdc.gov, that's a website that actually has a lot of great developmental information on it, has great information about what your child at what age should be eating and the portion amount and all of that. And I strongly encourage parents to look that up because it is shocking. You'll learn that, oh, I'm trying to push this food on my child when that's an unrealistic amount, that they really only need this little bit.
I also tell families, I think a lot of times because we want them to eat, even with bottles, you want to see them eat all of it and take it all. But I remind families, sometimes we eat a big meal and we don't want as much the next meal. Like, it's okay.
It's okay.
As long as they're eating something. And we're having the appropriate amount of, wet diapers or whatever it is.
Right. If they're not diagnosed failure to thrive, if they're not at a critical stage, it is okay to eat barely anything at one meal. It's okay. Yeah. They'll probably make it up at the next one. Or maybe they're not in a growth stage. I noticed my kids ate so much less when they were not in that growth stage. And then when they are, it's all of a sudden they're like eating a plate-sized pancake and you're going, how's that even fitting in that little tiny stomach?
That's how I feel about my 8-year-old right now.
They eat everything. You're like, do you have a hollow leg? That's what we used to say. You just open up that hollow leg and all that food just goes down again. And they go through those stages just like we do.
I think a big thing too right now, we live in the age of iPads, so distraction at meal times I see that a lot.
You see it all the time out in restaurants.
Early on, if you can prevent that, I think that will help your child be more willing to eat or different kinds of food too, because they're focused on the feeding and the engagement with their parents, because eating is a social experience.
We have to face something as parents is, are we willing to go to a restaurant, let our child require our attention,
right,
and not take an iPad in, and willing to entertain them with a straw and a napkin and a whatever else and engage in conversation? We shape what we want our children to look like. And, I've heard it said before, it seems like we're in an era of lazy parenting. Like a lot of parents are distracted themselves and they just would rather their kid be busy on the iPad and entertained than actually engaging with them. Yeah. I'm not saying you won't ever do that, but not getting into a habit of every single time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard. There's lots of challenges. So, Nicole, you are just a great wealth of information. And if a mom listening says, oh gosh, I need help, I'm struggling, my child is really struggling, well, how can they find that help? Like, where should they start?
I think talking to your doctor at first is the best way to start. And 99% of the time, your gut is telling you what to go with, what to do. So I would keep pushing early on if you can. I mean, early intervention is great. Even if they're older, I think still asking for help. I have a lot of my families that I ask them if we're worried about nutrition, especially to do blood work to see what our vitamin and mineral levels are too. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And then your doctor can send those referrals in.
Yeah. And there's some doctors that are more clued into like probiotics and gut health and how our gut and our brain are connected and some of those things. But exploring kind of all of that is good. Yeah. It all helps. Yeah. And then, if your child is constipated or has a history of constipation, you really need to address that too.
GI.
Yeah. And we do have some great pelvic floor therapy.
We do.
That's another thing that sometimes pelvic floor and feeding therapy kind of go hand in hand.
Together.
Yeah, they go together. So, well, you moms, I think you can do it out there. You can help your picky eaters or your problem feeders and seek out help when you need it. Your pediatrician should be a great resource. And you can definitely, if you're in the Lexington area, you can look up Nicole. She's at Marshall Pediatric Therapy, and we have a team of great feeding therapists that are willing to help you. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening to Help, I Have Kids. If you're tuning into this podcast, that means you're a mom who's curious, committed, and ready to learn. And we see you. We'd love for you to join our Help, I Have Kids Facebook community, where moms just like you are connecting, asking questions, and encouraging each other every day. It's a space for real conversations, expert insight, and support from moms who get it, because we're all in this together. And if you know a mom who's feeling unsure or maybe overwhelmed, or just needs to be reminded that she can do it, she can advocate for her child with confidence, share this episode with her. We're building a village here, and we're glad you're a part of it.